so my last name is McCartney, and we had these close family friends, still have them, whose last name is Lennon.
Wow.
And so their daughter and I decided that we could become wildly famous if we started writing songs together when we were 7 years old, because we could package them as Lennon and McCartney songs
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
and we would not be wrong. And so
No,
no one could
yeah.
sue us.
Yeah, sure. Today on Loves Music, I speak with the beautiful and talented Rebecca McCarthy. Her joy is infectious, her music is incredible, and she's here all the way from New York City on Loves Music. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us on Loves Music. I'm stoked for this interview. I don't know, I'm listening to your catalog. I don't think either you don't do it or you don't know how to write a bad song. I mean, your songwriting is
So nice.
incredible. And what you do, which is so remarkable, is that you find a way to say something simple in a simple way, in a way that nobody said it, that resonates with no less than 50 million people in the country. Let me give you an example, right? You say, it's 4 a.m. The windows are foggy with the weight of the dawn. Too many men, too many to count, but not any to count on. I heard that. That was like the first lyric I heard of yours. And I'm like, oh, she's no joke.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I can't believe you could just recite that.
I love that lyric.
Crazy.
I'm like, there's a girl going through something in Minneapolis, Minnesota somewhere that heard that lyric and was like, she sees me.
You know, it's crazy. I'm born and raised in New York City, but I wrote that song when I was living in maybe Minneapolis or Minnesota because I went to college in Minnesota. That's crazy.
I pulled that city out of the air. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. That's like the only song for Avery and June that I've written for a friend. Okay. And it was one of those experiences of thinking about this connection that's not, it's not a romantic love song or anything, but it's thinking about like my friend going through all of this stuff and how I want to be there for her and how it's just tricky.
Well, it was the loss of her father, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what the song's about. Yeah. Beautiful song. Please, if you haven't heard it, everybody, Rebecca McCartney for Avery and June, off the EP from 2021. Help me with the name.
Yeah. How You Feel.
How You Feel. Awesome.
Yeah. Which is actually a lyric that also comes from the same song in the bridge. It's like, we don't talk anymore about how you feel. And that's where I kind of realized that all of my songs are swimming in that same ocean of reflecting on emotions and figuring out how I even feel.
So as I knew I was gearing up for this interview and people were asking me like, who are you going to have on next? I name drop you and I tell them that, and I try to explain your sound. When I explain your sound, I'm like, it's like a soulful, happy medium between Joni Mitchell and Sade. It's Corinne Bailey Rae, but it's not. It's Colby Calais, but it's not. How do you describe your sound?
Wow. Thank you for those references. That feels great. I usually say somewhere in the indie soul, indie pop world. As I move on and make more music, I feel like I'm getting more into the indie pop zone, but everything that I make is very handmade and acoustically crafted. So I usually describe it as like handmade, folky, jazzy, indie music.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
You can throw around a lot of genre terms and it won't really mean anything until you hear the music.
I think the EP category is different on like every project. It's like singer-songwriter, blues, or not blues, and singer-songwriter, soul, and then pop. I'm like, I don't know if it's any of these.
Yeah, right. And I'll throw around, references of the musicians who really shaped me, but they're people that I listen to, and then obviously that all gets ingested and something else comes out. But I listen to a ton of Maggie Rogers and a lot of D'Angelo and a lot of Joni Mitchell and a lot of Dijon. People from kind of all over the genre sphere and from many different times, and then hope that some way it gets worked out inside of me, and then when I'm making probably sounds nothing like what they do. But we're all just, I think, just taking an influence and then trying to shape something out of it.
Well, I can get behind that. Like when I would record music, I would get inspired by, 3 or 4 specific projects, either current or fairly recent. And then I go into the studio and I'm like, I kind of like what he did there. I like the guitar voice there. and then it sounds like something completely different by the time
Totally.
it's packaged, you know.
Totally.
So, yeah, and it is, and I don't, and even as I'm throwing around names, your sound still sounds uniquely your own. You know, it sounds like it does. Like I don't hear things like it. Inspired by things, but I don't hear anything like it. It's so good. You are such an incredible artist. Can you take me back to your beginnings of music? So you say you were born in, not born in Minneapolis. What city are you from?
Born in New York City. Yeah,
You're
I
born
grew
in
up
New
in
York.
Manhattan. Hmm.
Okay, so take me to your earliest memory of music, like the first time you heard music and you're like, oh, I'm not just a passive music listener. Like I am. This is
Yeah.
in me.
Yeah. Well, okay. So my mom is a classical musician. She's a clarinetist and she plays a lot of classical and contemporary music. So before I had a brain, when I was in the womb, I was falling asleep to scales every night. And I
Yeah,
was falling asleep to my mom in rehearsals running around New York playing all this different kind of music. And so I feel like by the time I was born, um, I don't know if I really grasped her rhythm, like her rhythmic sensibility is still something that I feel like I probably got the contemporary music side of it, which is like all over the place. Um, but yeah, I grew up falling asleep to scales, listening to all different kinds of musicians playing with each other in rehearsal every day. My mom also teaches lessons, and so every day it was just music throughout the home, and that was kind of what I expected to hear when I came in. And I grew up in a first floor apartment in New York, and so even walking around the block, I could hear my mom playing when I was coming home. So I grew up around a lot of music, and then I started singing maybe when I was 3 or 4 years old, and then I started singing in a professional children's chorus basically for my whole childhood. So
really.
middle school, high school, got to tour and compete around the world with them, which was a really intense and wonderful environment.
Was it the Continentals that like
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it's called the Young People's Chorus of New York
young people's
City, and
chorus?
it's a
Okay,
great organization. But yeah, that introduced me to a lot of music, and at the same time, I was listening to a ton of songwriters. That was the kind of golden age of Sarah Bareilles and Ingrid Michaelson, and a lot of my parents' old folk music that they used to listen to. So James Taylor, Joni Mitchell, a lot of jazz just from being in New York and from my family. Yeah, a lot of the jazz greats, Ella Fitzgerald, Lena Horne, just some incredible voices kind of getting in there. And then by the time I got to high school, I was starting to write my own songs. They were pretty basic, but
can
yeah,
you take me through the
yeah.
mindset of transitioning from? It's one thing to be like, okay, I like music. It's another thing to be like, oh, I can actually hold a tune. It's another thing to be like, oh no, I have something to say now. So when you
Mm,
transition from being a musician to be like, oh, I'm writing songs now, or to even just know you can write a song.
yeah. Well, when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, I already knew that I loved the attention of being on stage. Like I love musical theater. And I just wanted I wanted to have everyone's eyes and I wanted people to clap for me. And so then, I was singing a lot and I kind of became addicted to that feeling. Um, by high school, I wanted to be writing songs because there were a lot of people in my school who were excellent songwriters. And funnily enough, a lot of them are now artists themselves and are just in these amazing, skyrocketing careers that I now get to watch and support from the sidelines. But there were some amazing songwriters around me, and I just wanted to hang with them. Like I wanted to get in that scene myself. So I don't know if I even had the sensibility of I know I can write a great song, but it was more like I better start writing some good songs
Right.
because these people are really good and
Yeah.
I want to be performing with them and I want to be learning from them and getting that feeling of being on stage together. So that came pretty early, and by the time college came around, I was working on my first album and it just became more serious and more attached to how I felt like I wanted to be in the world.
Okay. So did you get taught song structure, or did somebody kind of like coach you at all, or did you kind of pick it up on your own in terms of being like, okay, this is what a verse is going to do. It needs a slight
Yeah.
modulation. It needs did you learn that or
I
no?
definitely was picking up on it from music that I was listening to in all different genres. And I think when you listen to like musical theater and jazz and classical music, there are such different genres, but there's a lot of form pieces that you can pick up on, which are the threads between these genres. So, songs have an introduction and they
Right.
have an arrangement. And I think by finding those similarities between all of the different things I was being exposed to, I started to understand the threads of like what makes a song. And then I took some songwriting classes probably through the end of high school and into college. And I worked on songwriting and composition in college. So at that point, I had already been writing, but I kind of got the structure of it
Okay.
in a more educational setting.
Got it. Okay. It's just it's so fascinating. It's funny. Not too long ago, my mom from like her like box of memories hands
Yeah.
me like a loose leaf piece of paper folded up. And it was I might have been 7 or 8 years old. And I wrote this like little cheesy song, but it was like you could tell it was like 8 bars, chorus, 8 bars. And I remember at a young age, I knew like, okay, I know that there's a part they say over and over. I know this is the part
Right.
where you tell the story. Like I just knew it. In contrast to when I was like 16 or 17 and we're like trying to write raps. And my friends, it's just like, it's just paragraph right down the page, with no breaks. And I'm like, oh, people don't know like it's supposed to have like a song, of course, like, so sometimes you
Yeah.
just know right from the bat. And then sometimes you have to be like taught that. It's interesting to see how people pick it up. It's interesting to me anyway.
Yeah. I mean, when I think back to the first song that I ever wrote, I wrote it with, so my last name is McCartney and it's
Right.
my family's last name. And we had these close family friends, still have them, whose last name is Lennon.
Wow.
And so their daughter and I decided that we could become wildly famous if we started writing songs together when we were 7 years old, because we could package them as Lennon and McCartney songs
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
and we would not be wrong. And so
No,
no one could
yeah.
sue us.
Yeah.
And it
Sure.
would be the Lost Beatles song. And so we wrote a song when we were 7 that had one chord the whole time. And I think it was called Invincible. And it was about some amazing love relationship, and I
Oh,
think the first line went, "What if the moon took off across the sky, flying
right.
by at the speed of light?"
Oh my God.
So very subtle, very Beatles.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that point, it's like songwriting to us was coming up with the most kind of a grand scheme lyrics and beautiful things that you could see in life. And there was no subtlety to it at all. And there was no thought to the chords or, that stuff came later. But yeah, started early.
That's hilarious. Yeah, like early songwriting. I kind of took my cues from like boy bands, like me, like
Hmm.
because you figure I'm 43, so I'm my brother's like elementary, middle school. I'm like 10th, 11th grade, and like
Hmm.
so all the songs sounded like pop songs, like just
Totally.
yeah, either I want you back or you broke my heart or so
Yeah.
hilarious. All right, so now your first album is in college, right? So you're in college, you're writing. What? Give me like the concept around like your first album. You're like, all right, I'm gonna conceptualize a cohesive piece of art with various songs.
Mhm.
Did it just kind of come together naturally, or did you sit down like this is going to be an album?
Yeah, I was working on just I was writing songs because that became at that point in my life how I was processing my feelings. So I was kind of writing songs and letting them sit in my voice memos on my phone, which is every songwriter's archive basically.
Huh.
And I didn't have a plan at first to weave them into an album. But taking a step back, earlier on in college, I worked on an album and created this body of like 12 songs with one of my dear friends from childhood, who was starting to become a producer and also working on his own music. So we wrote this folk duo album together and kind of started cutting our teeth on recording and arranging songs and making stuff. So we had an album that came out when we were juniors in college. And then at that point, I had the itch and I was like, okay, well, now I want to do some of my own stuff, just to get into a different part of songwriting and create a new project. And so my friend, the producer, Jacob Leventhal, was like, perfect, I'll produce you. Let's do it now. And I was like, no. I mean, in 5 years. And he goes, no, we have to do it now. And so eventually, yeah, he bugged me enough.
Yeah.
And thanks, Jake. And now we've worked on everything together. But yeah, I started listening through my archive of voice memos and songs that I had written and picked a few favorites. And then we started working on them together to cut the parts that weren't working and start tracking some scratch vocals and scratch guitar takes and figure out what was going to make these songs tick. So that came out right after I graduated college. And it was really Jacob pushing me to say, you're ready to do it now, and you don't have to wait until something else comes to you or more people are interested in you, and you should just make the music. So we did.
How involved in the instrumentation are you? Are you playing the instruments, or do you have the luxury of having like an engineer who plays for you, and you just kind of hum and they mimic what you take me through that process?
Yes, yeah. The studio for us is always a really collaborative process.
Yeah.
And at this point, when I started, Jake was really playing most of these instruments and we were working on parts together. And then I would play piano and some synth parts and maybe some guitar parts, and I would track all the background vocals. But for the most part, Jake is playing all of the guitars and basses. And we early on had this amazing drummer that we're friends with, Jason Berger, come in and play drums because we really were not skilled in that department.
Okay.
And at this point, I have enough friends from the New York indie scene and the band scene here, this being my life now, that I get to call in some of my favorite musicians to play on my tracks. And it's really a collaborative process where I bring in people who have great ideas and incredible skill, and they happen to be my friends. And then we just kind of work through the songs together and come up with a bunch of back and forth ideas. Usually I'll try to describe something and maybe sound it out a little bit, and then they'll just take it and make it so much better. And then depending on how that fits in with the rest of the song, we'll try something else and just keep layering. But it's really it's a handmade situation. There's not a lot of computer generated sound. There's some, synths and plugins that come from there, but for the most part, it's people playing and just really astonishingly good musicians who have these abilities.
Yeah. How great is it when you can tap into a network like that?
Oh God, it's so good.
It's almost like cheating,
It's
like,
so good.
You play it, and then you sit down and just play. Yeah,
I know. I'm like, well, I could, but I get no points for playing my own piano on my songs. That doesn't make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have someone who is iconic at the instrument.
Now, how iconic are we talking? Are you using like session guys, like people I would have heard of, or you're talking like friends in the area? Or?
So I was so lucky. The woman who played keys and synth on my new music that's coming out right now is currently on tour with Chappell Roan and Lucy Dacus. Her name's Sarah Goldstone. She's an incredible musician. Just came in for one day. Yeah, exactly. I know. But what's amazing in New York is that all these people are also just musicians in New York. So they get these huge gigs and they're really at the top of the session player game. And they're also just open for new projects and open to collaborate with people when they have a day off in the city. So yeah, Sarah came in for a day and played synth and piano on my 5 new songs. Jason Berger, who I was mentioning, who played on that first record and also on this new one, is a founding member of Big Thief and is just all over all this amazing music coming out of New York. My friend Paul, who played bass, Paul Papa Bear Johnson. Yeah, this is my name drop section.
Yeah.
Paul was just on tour with Doja Cat and was her, music arranger and playing these massive stadium tours with Doja and Kehlani. And yeah. And Mark McIntyre plays guitar on the record and came up with some, incredible music. And yeah, wow. It's just a treat.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome. So when you're coming up with a song, right? Yeah. You're doing lyric first, concept first? Like when the song is a baby inside your mind before you actually go into the studio to record it. Where's your point A? Yeah.
Concept first is like the hardest thing I can imagine doing. Like I've tried to make myself sit down and be like, okay, song that's not about a relationship, like song that's not about a relationship. I can't do it. I've never been able to do it. I could maybe do it if I'm writing for somebody else, but for myself, there's no material there. So basically I come up with lyrics and melody bits at the same time. So when I'm just moving around during the day, I have probably like 10,000 voice memos in my phone that are between 10 and 30 seconds long of a little snippet of a lyric and melody, and I take it down, and then usually either later that day if it's still sticking with me, or a couple of days later, or whenever it is, I'll try to go back to some of the stuff I've come up with and then listen back, see what sticks, build it out. But usually lyrics, melody, and therefore chords are coming at the same time. And I'll kind of choose I write both using guitar and piano, and I have kind of different skill sets on both. Like piano is more moody, lyrical, pretty songs, and then guitar is more rhythmically driven songs for me. So
Okay.
if the snippet I've come up with feels like it needs a little bit of a driving groove, then I'll sit down with my guitar and build it out into something. But I feel like since I'm a singer first and like vocalist first, everything is always just melody and
Yeah.
lyric ideas coming together.
Same kind of. You figure I was doing music. I wasn't even using voice memos barely. So
Yeah,
I would hum a tune, and if I could retain it until I got in front of an engineer, I knew I had something. Like if I just
totally.
forgot it by the end of the day, I'm like, oh, maybe it probably was nothing, you know. And then I would go in there and kind of do the same thing. Mumble, hey man, can you play on the piano? Can you
Yeah,
play on the guitar? Because I can't even touch an instrument.
yeah,
So that's really cool. So the new song that you were pushing, I discovered you on the song "Close to You."
yeah.
Fun,
Close to me.
soulful,
Yeah,
close to me. I'm sorry, is it close to
yeah,
me?
yeah.
All right.
Close to me. Mhm.
Oh, awesome song. Are you pushing that heavy yet, or is that I saw it in a reel. I didn't even see it as like a finished song yet.
Yes, yes. Well, actually, so I think by the time this interview comes out, the song will be out because it's June
Yeah,
10th. So it's
okay.
in
Yeah,
2 days from now. So I
yeah,
think what I could say is the song just came out.
yeah,
It's an amazing,
yeah,
yeah, I'm so excited to now have this song out because I've just been waiting for it.
yeah, right.
But yeah, Close to Me just came out and it's kind of it's like a sexy, mellow
Yeah,
little love
it is.
song bop.
Yeah, it
But
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've been pushing it. Yeah.
I caught myself humming it at the gym. I was like, this must be a good song. I heard it once
Oh,
on a reel, and I'm like,
hmm. High
yeah, yeah,
praise.
right. It's super happy, fun. Kind of sounds like some new relationship energy. What inspired that song?
Yeah, it's definitely this is like speaking to the highs of the relationship. You know, like all of my songs are kind of just riding that wave of when things are hard and when things are great. And this song is kind of the core of where I am right now, which is like, man, it feels good. It's
Yeah,
really nice to
got something new you're working on, relationship
yeah,
wise.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been with someone for a while now, and it's just feeling great. And
Awesome.
I think like this song is one of those like relaxed. The idea is I want you here, and I need you to be close to me, and yeah, just want to
Yeah,
be.
it's far from a cheesy love song. It's dynamic. It's
Yeah,
clever. Like it's a
thanks.
quality song. It's not like
It's definitely one of the only happy,
yeah,
like kind of in the happy world
yeah,
love songs I've ever written because it's way easier for me to write about the hard stuff and write about, you know, the things that are keeping me up at night and bringing me down.
why is that?
And it,
It's so easy to write like
oh,
a sad song.
oh God,
Yeah,
if you find that out, you tell
yeah,
me and
yeah, right.
fix my life.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely, I feel like I use songwriting as the processing tool for the stuff that I don't understand or like when I need to work out my own feelings. So I don't really go to songwriting that much as the space or the home for saying like, man, I'm so in love and I'm so happy. But this one it just came out really quickly and when I was writing it, it just kind of all poured out. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's nice to just relax and let myself have a happy song.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let me record this while things are going well.
Yeah.
When things make a laugh, let me get this one
It's
down.
also like I get so critical of myself for wanting to write complicated songs and wanting to write things that are, you know, that stick with you because they're just a little more complex. And I think I really hurt myself with that mentality. It's not helpful at all. It's like my music theory professors are in the back of my mind telling me that I have to write things that they respect. But most of the world's listeners are not music
No,
theory
they're
professors.
24-year-olds at the
Yeah,
gym.
I know.
They
And
wouldn't be
so
happy. Yeah.
yes. And so this is really one of the first times where I feel like I let myself let go of that voice and just kind of write something that is pretty simple, but it like lets it, you know, it gets into a groove and it feels great. So yeah.
You have some complicated arrangements or sophisticated. I mean, pick your your adjective, but
Yeah.
almost all your songs are accessible. You know, are some more
Thanks.
popular than others? Sure, but they're all accessible. I don't think anything feels like it's like over the top or you like outthink yourself, you know?
Yeah,
Like
that's good.
like if I had to pick your single, I'd have a hard time picking which was the single,
Oh,
if that
well,
makes sense.
thanks. Yeah, I definitely, the voice gets to me more in that songwriting process. And then once something's down on the page or in the session, for example, it's like I've usually gotten over that cynicism and I just let myself have it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
you wrote a beautiful song actually about your mom. It has that line, give
Yeah.
them love, give them hell. How's that line go?
Yeah. Give them love, give them hell, give them what they need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Love that line.
Yeah.
I obviously your mom had to have been a huge influence in your life being a musician. Is she still involved in any of your of like the songwriting process now? Or she's kind of a like just a loving supporter in the distance? Like what's her dynamic
Yeah.
with you now with you being an artist and her being an incredible musician herself?
Totally. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like we are in really different spheres in music. And often, I mean, one of the things that I wrote that song, Mama I Know, about is the fact that she's a musician, I'm a musician, but she feels like she should be able to give me a leg up. And, in my life now, navigating this as my career. But our worlds are so separate that she feels like she can't give that to me. And kind of that tension of like, she wants to be able to help me, but how could she help? But really, at the core of it, she's given me everything. And she's given me my whole love of music and this whole path in my life, and we get to share that. But she's not so involved in my songwriting, though I'm very sensitive to how she reacts when I play her my new songs. So often she gets to hear things. She comes to a lot of my shows because I live in Brooklyn. My parents live in Manhattan. They're huge, major supporters of mine, which is awesome. And so I can count on seeing them at most of my shows. And they'll, without fail, come up to me after and be like, that song, that one's really good. And they're very open with saying, and that one, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like it that much. So like they're, yes, quite willing to tell me how they feel.
Yeah.
But I listen to that and it means a lot to me. So often their advice is great. And sometimes, I try to take it. So they're involved, my mom especially, in the songwriting process, and that they kind of have these check-ins before any of my songs come out, and they hear early mixes and they hear them when I'm just working the songs out on stage with the band, and they give me their feedback. But my mom is really, she's come into the studio with me maybe once or twice. We actually recorded a version of this song Mama I Know for a Tiny Desk contest submission together last year.
You beat
So
me to
there's
it.
a
I saw you
video.
guys playing together in the video, and I was like, I have to
Yeah.
ask about this.
Yeah, we got to play together. It was awesome. And she was nervous because it's not her zone at all. She's done so many more high level recording sessions than I ever have, but there's something different about improvising. When you're a classically trained musician, that's just not where she feels comfortable. And for me, I'm like, we'll just work it out. You just play whatever, and then it's gonna be great. But we have really different approaches to it. So it was fun to have her in the studio for that. And we also kind of got into a fight because she was like, "You have to tell me what to play," and I was like, "I can't tell you what to play. You have to play." Yeah, but it was
It's
really
so
funny.
funny.
But we wound up making this great video together, and I really like having that.
It made me think about my dad, and it's funny because my dad, world class drummer in a band that toured. They were
Wow.
awesome. Actually, if anybody heard the last episode, my last episode was actually with my dad, and
Oh, whoa, that's
yeah,
awesome. I'll
so
check it
it'll
out.
probably it'll air 2 days from today. But anyway,
Cool.
but it's funny. Like I'm like, you're a world class drummer, but we're playing my stuff. So he sits down on the kit and he's all nervous. I'm like, bro, I was just play the stuff. Just play the stuff. Just play the stuff you hear. And he's like,
Exactly.
"Oh, man, I gotta like, I want to do a good job." And I'm like, dude, I was like, you're Jim Jones. Just play the stuff. What do you mean?
That's exactly the
They get
same.
nervous too, right? It's
Yeah,
fun.
totally. And
Yeah,
also, it's like we're their kids and they
yeah,
want to do a good job
yeah,
they want to be
yeah,
great
yeah.
for us. So,
And
yeah.
I'm so insensitive too. I'm like, just play the thing. What are you doing? I was like, come on, man. Time's wasted. Just play it.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't tell you what to play on the clarinet. This is not my instrument.
Yeah, right. I don't speak clarinet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so
But
funny.
it's funny now, like a lot of my friends and my musician community have told me that I sing in a way that reminds them of a clarinet. which is so
Really?
crazy to me because I can't put my finger on that. But I think if I step back and listen to kind of just how I approach each note, it's a little bit more of like an in and out, a soft, like lifting off of a phrase as opposed to hard stops. And I feel like that's something that's kind of in my bones from
Yeah.
hearing my mom play
Well, they say
forever.
that. I mean, you can either like they define their you can listen to a voice and be like, oh, they sing from their stomach, they sing from their chest, they
Mm,
sing from their head, you know.
hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I can't personally figure that out, but I wonder if that has something to do with it. You know, you
Totally.
have like a more
Yeah,
like breathy, ethereal, like
totally. Yeah, like where the resonance chambers are, yeah, coming from. So yeah, I mean, it's something that like it's not. I think a lot about. I'm a really kind of specific singer, and I think a lot about how to make each phrase how I want it to be. But I feel like that level of it, of the kind of melodic in and out, and even where I choose to put my melodies, comes from something that I can't even identify because it's just deep in there from my mom.
got it. Mhm.
Yeah.
So the New York indie music scene, who should be on
Yes.
our radar that we probably don't know about yet?
This is a great question for
I
me.
got,
It's
I got,
so
I got, I got
fun.
my pen out and everything. I'm
Yes,
like, give me the gold.
totally.
Who do I need to know about?
Okay, my dear friend Franklin Rankin is a guitar player and producer, and he's everywhere. If you come to New York, you're almost guaranteed to see him play in somebody's band. He just released a new song last week called "Giving Up," which just rocks. And yeah, his music is amazing. We get to work on a lot of projects together, and he's just a great guy, great songs. The band Melt, if you've heard of them, are some of my dear friends, and they're this kind of NYC like indie soul poppy rock band, I guess. They're always touring, and they're just amazing musicians, and they make great songs. So they're called Melt. My God, so many. There's just so many people that I
You
love
familiar with
listening
Jalen
to.
Naganda? I think he's like a New York guy.
Yeah, the name is totally familiar to me. I've never seen him play, but yeah,
Mark Ramos. I mean, the band is called Morning Wars, but I think it's just him playing everything. But he calls it
cool.
kind of like the like adultery situation.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's this artist, M.M. Orchard, who's actually, his name is Mark, and he played on my last record. And so you'll hear some of his stylings in there. But M.M. Orchard, and he's about to have a new record that's going to be incredible. It's kind of like psychedelic rock indie stuff. So not really, it's like not anything like the music that I make, but the songs
Okay.
are
Sweet. So,
fantastic. So yeah.
so who do you listen to now that's kind of like holding your attention? Somebody recent.
I listen to a lot of Dijon still. This last record, it's just, I mean, Dijon, you might know because he works with McGee, who's become very famous. But yeah, Dijon is just so good. I've been listening to a lot of Samara Joy recently, the jazz singer who won Best New Artist last year at the Grammys. She's amazing. Yeah, Molly Pardon is another friend of mine who's been releasing some new music that is so
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
Do you have any like a weird taste or guilty pleasure where if somebody heard you listening to it, they'd be like, Rebecca listens to this? Like just something just like left field that you listen to that would surprise people?
I actually listen to a lot of country radio.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty different. I mean, so right now I'm actually up here in Maine, working with my mom on a chamber music festival that she runs. And I listen to a lot of country radio when I'm up here. I kind of listen to it through the summer and then not at all through the rest of the year. But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, my daughter got me into country a little bit. She had like a little mini crush on Kane Brown, and so
Oh, nice.
I kind of like got like kind of like slowly got like an affinity for it. I kind of pick
Totally.
and choose my spots. Like I go, I think Brandy Carlisle is like it for me as far as like if I'm gonna. And she's I don't know, she's like kind of country. She's like country folk ish.
Yeah, country Americana.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
yeah. Chris Stapleton.
Oh,
That's
so
about where
good.
I hang out as far as country
So
goes.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like the guilty pleasure where it's like,
yeah.
yeah, I happen to, it's like, okay, I know all the words to all the songs on the radio, but yeah, it's a specific mood for
Yeah.
me. So,
Yeah, I have like a I have like a cheesy pop. Like that's like my like food, like my like sonic junk food, right? I'm like, all right, I'm listening to like heavy stuff. I'm listening to like alternative. And then it's like, I'll put on like Nessa Barrett and it'll be like,
Totally.
they're like, why are you listening to music for 19-year-old girls? And I'm like, it's good. I just like it. I don't know.
Yeah. Stop asking. Yeah. You should listen to it too. It's great. Yeah.
That's great.
Totally.
So give me the next like 6 to 12 months for you. The single comes out in a couple days. Is going to be on a new project, or is this going to be released just as a single?
Yeah. So this is the second single in my new EP, which is 5 songs that are coming out one by one over the next couple months. So the first song came out. It's called In Our Own Way. It came out at the end of March, and now Close to Me is coming out right now. And my next song to come out is called Naturally, which is potentially my favorite song that I've ever written. So I'm
Naturally.
so excited for that one. And I would call it it's my fan favorite song, as in it's all of my friends' favorite song. So,
if your friends like it, your friends are like the most honest with you.
yeah.
If they
Yeah.
like it, it's a good sign.
Totally. So that one comes out next on July 10th, over the summer. And then I have 2 more, and that kind of wraps up this EP, and then I'll get back into working on some new music. But yeah, I would say the next 6 to 12 months, it's releasing these new songs, and I want to be going on tour a little bit more.
Might that tour make a stop in Philadelphia?
Totally. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Count on it.
Tickets yesterday to that.
Yeah, I'm going to need it right now. Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I'll see you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably some new recording. And yeah, I get to be a part of a bunch of my friends, a bunch of other projects in New York too, just as a vocalist. So next year will be probably more of that, and singing with other people.
We'll see some collaboration and
totally. Yeah, but hopefully some more touring, and I love playing shows in New York, so I'll definitely be there.
Here's a question for you. What is, either in music or just in life, what is the best compliment someone's ever paid you?
Well, okay, just to think of something that came recently, because it really moved me. When you and I were talking the other day, and you said that my song about my mom made you call your mom.
Yeah.
That's just the best. That's just the best, like, because it speaks to so much. I mean, I'm here in my world writing my little songs and then trying to get them out to as many people as I hope can connect with them. And you just have no idea sometimes, like, what's going to resonate with people. So my job is to write what resonates with me, and then push it out there, and open my arms and see who will come in. And just to have somebody say that, I heard the song and I felt it, and then I turned around into my own life, and it made me want to call my mom. Come on. That really.
You just dropped the bar too. You said, my job is to open my arms and see who comes in.
Yeah.
You just summed up. That's like literally what art is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's honestly my philosophy of, like, when I get frustrated with how this industry is set up, and frustrated with social media and whatever it is, it's like, I have to remind myself that self-promotion, though it can feel hard, and it can feel embarrassing or whatever it is, it's like, I'm making this stuff, and my job is to now just let it be seen. And, like, there are people who connect with my music, and there's so many people in this world, and there's so many more people who will connect with my music who I don't even know yet. And that's what I want to be singing for people who are singing along to the lyrics, and, move people through different parts of their lives. And that's where I want to be. So therefore, to get there, it's like, just open my arms and see who, like, try to get it to more people, so that the people who will feel it can find it.
Now, as somebody who's on the outside looking in, as an adoring fan, to me, it just looks like you do everything effortlessly. But I would be naive to think that you don't have challenges. What is the hardest part of this process, or what does a dark day look like for Rebecca?
There's just a lot of emptiness in my life, in terms of that sounds so dark. There's no structure to my life. There's no structured days. I'm so lucky that I get to be an artist and be a musician full time, but I just have nowhere to, no responsibilities of showing up somewhere, which is a lot of other people's dreams. And, I'm grateful for the fact that, like, I get to completely structure my days. But figuring out where to even start when I have an open day of, like, okay, I have an open day, and my challenge is getting my music to the masses.
Right.
Like,
Right.
what are you supposed to do? And so much of it just relies on having an insane amount of money to throw into ads and throw into paying to even go on tour. That figuring out how to navigate and chip into, like, make a small dent into this massive industry can get kind of dark for me.
Sure.
That met with a lot of kind of jealousy and envy and comparison that I do with, seeing artists that I love and friends that I love who are just navigating their own challenging and beautiful careers. Like, it's easy to look at what other people are doing and feel like, oh, okay, well, they got that opportunity and I don't think I'm ever going to get that. And how do I get that? And how do I write a song like that? So for me, I feel like I just have to ground myself in community and do enough of the parts of this that I love doing, which are playing shows, writing music, recording sessions, working with other people, and just singing. Like, singing will always make me happy. And if I just keep myself grounded in those parts of it, then I can get through the darkness, the darkness of it all. But I feel like having an open day and just trying to figure out where to start, like when I have all this motivation, but I have no structure for it, that's something that I definitely struggle with.
I totally get it. First thing I want to let you know, I have no less than 100 artist friends, and every one of them I've had at least one conversation where it's like they're looking at what somebody else is doing and they're like, it's not happening for me. So that's 100% natural. So
and it happens at every level, like it happens at the highest level of people looking at the people above them, It's amazing. And it's crazy with social media that we just have this highlight reel in front of us of what other people are doing. And there's something baked into the, I think, artist music industry where we feel embarrassed about showing that we're struggling, or we feel embarrassed about showing even the work that goes into something because we want to be speaking into existence that actually things are going great. And actually, you should take me seriously because I'm getting all these opportunities. But yeah, it's tricky.
It is. And it's like you never really know how close you are to like breaking too, right? You could be in like year 6 of a 7-year story, or you could be in year 6 of a 30-year story, I guess the importance is just keep moving forward without sounding cheesy and cliche.
No, I think that's exactly it. It's like, at least for me, that feels like it. It's keep moving forward and keep, one thing I think a lot about is, even if my numbers are really low right now, when the spark comes and when there's more attention on something, there needs to be something for that spark to catch on to, like instead of having a viral moment where suddenly you have 2 million, 10 million views on something, but there's no song that you can even release yet. And then there's nothing for those fans to go back and like see the history of you as an artist. Work in the dark until the spark comes. And then there's a trail, it's like there's stuff for people to latch onto, and there's been music over the last couple of years, and there's a history of playing shows to the point where now you know how to play a show. It's like, I feel grounded in that. I know I have to be working even with, limited attention, because when the day comes, it's like you just keep going, and then there's more and more and more, hopefully. And hopefully the whole time it's been fun, but there needs to be like a path for those new people to latch onto, I think.
It's like you're running the race without any knowledge of where the finish line is.
100%. 100%.
So it's like, well, the goal is to just keep going. Well, what do you mean just keep going? Well, when am I going to be done? Well, you don't know when you're going to be done.
Right. It's like you're laying the groundwork and you have no idea where it goes, but there has to be a foundation if there's ever going to be something on top of it. So.
Well, one of the things you do well is like, it's so apparent that you just love your own music. Like when you see you write, when you see you perform, you're like,
so true.
Yeah. And it's like, she like loves doing this. And that's, I think that's something very endearing about an artist. You can kind of tell when someone's just like playing the hits, It's like, these are the songs. Here's my songs,
Yeah. Luckily, I don't have like the 10 years or 30 years of touring on the same songs to make me jaded about having to play those songs. But I mean, for me, like playing shows is just, it's so much fun. I get off stage and I'm like so happy. And I'm so happy on stage because I'm playing with my friends who are bringing something new to it every time, and I'm looking at people who are singing my lyrics. I got friends and family in the room. Like, it's the best thing ever. It's the best thing ever. So, yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody just starting out? A young lady like yourself, first year at NYU, picks up a guitar and is like, yeah, I don't know where to start. I just love music, but I don't know where to start. What would you tell her?
Yeah, I would say force yourself to just write something right now and force yourself to write the bad stuff, because as Ed Sheeran once has this quote about songwriting is like running a tap of water. And when you first open the tap, the water that comes out is dirty and it's mucky and it's gross, but you're never going to get to the clear water until you let the tap run. So you got to let the tap flow, and then the clear water eventually starts coming out. And I think it's such a beautiful metaphor for songwriting, because like you, and kind of any skill, it's like you got to get the bad stuff done, because when you start, it's probably going to suck, and maybe you'll find some good kernels and that'll keep you going, but you get the horrible ones out first and just make yourself get through them, so you're not stuck with just a verse and just, a little idea, but make yourself finish the process. And then the next one's going to be a little better. And then the next one's going to be a little better. And then it's a roller coaster, but the end of it, you'll have some more, I think, clarity to the songs that are coming out. But you can't write the best song until you've written the worst ones,
That makes sense. It reminds me of the this Jokic quote, the basketball player. I don't know how familiar you are. But they were like, yeah, like, what do you owe this championship to? And they're expecting this like big, profound answer. And he's like, well, you have to be bad, and then you have to get good. Then you have to fail while you're good. And that's pretty much how you figure it out. And I'm like,
I mean, yeah, that's it. That just is it. Yeah. You just like, and obviously you're hearing that from one of the best players, right? And so, yeah, but it's crazy. Like, people at the top of their game can always say when they started, they were probably bad. And, they had some kernel of talent, as a lot of great artists do. And that's what let them keep going with it. But yeah.
Your socials are moving. Obviously, if somebody finds you, there's going to be ample ways to connect with you. But if there was only one way that somebody could support you, what's the single best way to do that?
Share my music with your friends, I would say. So one way. Yeah, just put it on the playlist, send it to your friends, keep listening. But I guess it's mostly like get in touch. It's a small community and I want to know you. Like, come here, find me on Instagram, get on my email. It's like, yeah, now I'm saying 20 different things. But I love to just, be able to see people at a show and hear that they got there because their friends sent them my music, like, it's amazing. So there's a whole network of people talking to each other about music every day throughout the world. And I think it spreads human to human at first. So yeah, share the music.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here first. Rebecca, I want to thank you for being here. You are, I'm still fanning out. Like, I can't believe we had a conversation today. So,
oh my God, so great to be here.
No, thank you. Thank you. I think it's going to be huge. I think you're one of those like matter of time artists. It's like, I'm going to have like this interview on a hard drive somewhere when you're playing stadiums. And I'm going to be like, a couple years ago, she talked to me on my podcast, my little podcast.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
I can't wait. I hope you get everything you ever dreamed of. I hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Julian, thank you for having me. And thank you for like caring about music so much. It's amazing to talk to you about this. So thanks for having me. It's been so fun.
All right. And folks, thank you for tuning in as well. We appreciate you.
And stream close to me.
Stream close to me wherever you stream your music.
Yeah.
Thank you.